Shalom, everyone. This is Rabbi Noah Tile, and we are continuing our series on awakening Jewish identity, following the signs. We're going to get to the signs. We're going to get to what that means, but for now, we are just doing a little bit of a build-up. We've been talking about the arch of anti-Semitism, its repetitive nature throughout our history. And we discussed in that first section, first part one, that there is an ultimate vindication. There will be an ultimate vindication. But for now, it was important as our first response to feel the pain, to internalize and connect to the Jewish spirit of suffering that has collectively taken place in our past and our present, and God willing, should stop. God willing, this is the end of that. No more suffering. Right now, we need to build up on our responses. Pain, feeling that in an ongoing way. Don't forget it. But now we need to start getting into the positive responses, the empowering responses. We can't be frozen in that pain while we still need to feel it. We're going to talk today about holding on to hope. Hope is not just this concept or this idea. It is an action. It is a courageous action. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Okay, so let's jump in. Hope is a verb. Hope is an action. Hope is not just this theoretical construct, and we need to sort of enter into this world of hope. But before that, we need to take a tour back. The first exile that really, when we talk about in Jewish history, yes, there's of course the Egyptian exile, but the one where we were in our land, we had this temple. It's incomprehensible. We don't even understand what Jewish life was like. The center of Jewish life was the temple. We don't even understand it, what we had and what we were missing. But we do know that on the 9th of Av, Tisha B'Av, in the summertime, we focus. We focus on what the memories of what we had at that time were, and we feel the pain, both that we don't have it anymore and that we don't even know what we didn't have. The 9th of Av is the commemoration of both the first temple and second temple being destroyed, but we're going to talk about the first right now. It burned all day continuously. And part of that is understanding what we had at that time. During this time, we had joy beyond belief, unity, love, music, the musical of prayers. There was instruments, like hundreds of instruments. Like imagine Lahavdil, this concerts that you see today where people are searching for that ecstasy, but imagine that just centered around the divine in a way that was transcendent, out of body. There was community. There was a sense of forgiveness. You walked in there and you felt cleansed. And I'm not trying to romanticize that. There were many issues, but the ecstatic and deep experience of joy that we felt in that era is something that we don't comprehend. So much so that on Sukkot, we have this ceremony called the water drawing ceremony. You never saw joy. You never saw joy unless you saw the joy at the height and the zenith of the Beit HaMikdash. And we lost that. We lost that. And so we take the pain of what we don't have, but we have to do something with it. Kolomit Abel al Yerushalayim. Whoever doesn't understand that we're mourning over something that it's just otherworldly connection that we lost. We have to feel that pain, but if we do, Zoche v'ro'eh b'simchata, we're going to be able to connect and see, just like it says Ra'ah Simchat here, Ra'ah Simchat. You didn't see a joy in your life? If you connect to that memory, we keep Tisha B'Av alive. We keep this idea that we need to feel that pain. You're going to be able to see the ultimate joy. And so I want to introduce a new book or a new word to our vocabulary. This is a prophetic word. And of course, in the temple, I forgot to say there, is that we had this intense nevuah, prophecy, clear connection to God. So the book of Jeremiah, which, as Rabbi Sachs points out, many people say is the book of doom. Really, there was words of hope, very famous words of hope. And really, I want to introduce hope now through these words. So Jeremiah, or Hashem through Jeremiah, is saying, Mine kolech mi bechi ve'inayich mi dima. Stop the weeping. We were looking at these words, mi bechi and dima, last time. Stop the weeping, stop the tears, stop the sadness. Ki yesh sachar lipulatech. There's reward for your actions. There's going to be Vishavu me'eretz oyev. You're going to be returned. There's going to be an ultimate betterment. You need to hold on. You need to hold on. And now it's key. Veyesh tikva acharisech. There's hope for you later. There's hope for your future. Veshavu vanim nigvulam. You're going to return to your land. You're going to have an ultimate hopeful redemption, an ultimate hopeful change from what was. This is some form of, it's an unbelievable thing that Jews have been able to do throughout history. We've been able to hold on to hope. So now let's just talk a little bit about the history of this idea that we need to redeem the suffering, prevent that blood being spilled in vain by having a response to what was. So just a history, a little bit of the exiles. We know Lavan, Jacob's uncle, he had to stay there for 20 years and serve him. From Lavan, though, came the 12 tribes of Israel. We had his two daughters, Rachel and Leah, and the maidservants, Bilhah and Zilpah, leading to the 12 tribes of Israel. Paro in Egypt, creating the nation of Israel. Babylonia and Persian, the first exile of the temple. We rebuilt the second temple. There was a renewed level of connection to Torah study and a more ability for the masses to be connected to it with Ezra and Nehemiah's renaissance of Jewish learning. Greek and Rome, the exiles of the second temple, ended up culminating. We had the development of the sages, the rabbis, the Talmud in the Mishnah, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Hillel, all the greats, Shammai, as well as this idea of the tent of Yafet, or Yafet is in the tent of shame. This is a deep idea from the beginning of the Bible, that there's this idea of Yafet, Greek culture, philosophy, beauty, art, etc., that eventually Yafet, one of the sons of Noach, represented by the word beauty, Yafet means beauty, is going to eventually be in the tent of shame with the Jewish people. There's this idea, and it's still ongoing, is how do we take philosophy and art and beauty and elevate it, as Rabbi Foreman says, elevate it, make beauty connected to its transcendent source instead of just being for its own sake. And that's part of what we did in the Greek and Roman experience of taking those ideas and trying to elevate them to God consciousness. The Middle Ages and Christianity led to, the Rashis of the world, biblical commentary and scholarship like never before. Medieval Islam, Jewish philosophy, the Rambam. Nazis, Soviets, the Arab nations, all of the persecution, the exile, the destruction, the death beyond words. And there's again, we've talked about the pain. There's no justification for that. We're not saying that one caused the other, anything like that. Today, we have a thriving land of Israel, a physical land. And this next iteration, Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran, and everything going on with the proxies, what's going to be our response? And we're really going to get in there. It has to be something other. This theme of hope, we actually see, it's so fascinating. I think Rabbi Sachs has pointed this out in my memory, but I'm sure many people have, of course, is that the anthem of the Jewish people, we know the Hatikva, we're going to get into it. The anthem of our people is Hatikva, the hope. Where does it come from? It's the famous vision of dry bones of Ezekiel. He says, and this is one of the last prophets before the exile of the first temple, before there were no more prophets anymore, after the destruction of the first temple. He's basically saying to the people, Vayomer Elai ben Adam, Hatzamot ha'ela kol beit Yisrael. These are the bones of the people. These are the bones of our people. Hema hine omrim yavshu atzmosenu va'avda tikvatenu nigzarnu lanu. These bones are saying, these dry bones are saying, we're dried up. We have no hope. We are doomed. But of course, turning that around is what we do. This is how we live. This is how we respond. Instead, Hashem says through Ezekiel, I'm going to open up the graves. I'm going to lift you out of those graves. And this is the key. I'm going to bring you back. You're coming back. Hope is not lost. So we took that word that was first said in this conversation, this dialect in Ezekiel. Avda tikvatenu, our hope is destroyed. Avda is just lost and decimated and destroyed. We're going to take that and we're going to bring it hope. I'm going to put my breath back into you, bring you back to life and live again. And this is what the Israeli national anthem did. It said, Va'avda tikvatenu, that's from the prophet Ezekiel. We just read it. We say no. We say, Od lo avda tikvateinu. We will never lose hope. We added the lo to avda tikvatenu. That is being Jewish. We sing that song and we say, no, lo avda tikvatenu. It's an active hope. Hope is a verb. This is what the psalmist says. Kaveh el Hashem chazak v'ya'ametz libecha v'kaveh el Hashem. Hope towards Hashem is sandwich. We see the beginning says hope towards Hashem. At the end it says kaveh el Hashem. In the middle, the sandwich of hope from the Jewish perspective, obviously hope to Hashem have a transcendent level, an infinite wellspring of connecting to hope. But the word, the sandwiching in between of kaveh el Hashem, hope, the word of hope, the experience of hope is chazak v'ya'ametz libecha. Make your heart strong and courageous. It's an action. It's a decision. It's a way of life. It's the Jewish people's way of life. It's our anthem. Hope is a verb. And the word tikva, we see here the word tikva. The verb for hope is kaveh. Kuf vav he. So we say the word tikva means hope. But there's another word that's closely connected. I don't even remember who said this. These word things are often not my ideas. Mikveh. Hope means mikveh. What's a mikveh? A mikvah. What do you do when you want to cleanse yourself? You go to the mikvah. You cleanse yourself in water. You come out, take all the dirt, all of that, and you come out of the water and you say, I am new again. I am going to restart, rebuild. I'm hopeful. It's not just something I say. It's the way I live. I come out of that water and I'm ready to go, ready to rebuild with strength and courage. And this is summed up in the words of Rabbi Nachman. Ein shum yeush ba'olam. Rabbi Nachman says there's no despair in this world. It is our DNA to never give up. And Rabbi Sachs, that's all, sums it up perfectly. That the Jewish people are the voice, literally the voice. Our transcendent existence, our survival is a voice of hope by definition. Not because we say hope, we do say hope, but it's because we are alive. We are a hope embodiment in the flesh, the voice of hope in the conversation of humanity. So just to take away, hope is a verb. Feel it, speak it, live it. Take courageous steps for creative solutions. Start to just internalize, like literally feel your heart getting stronger and stronger. We're not gonna. There will be much more practical details, but for now, you have to when you're connecting to the anti-Semitism and what it in the despair and the pain of what that means. You have to come out of that at some point. Everybody's in their own place, but even at the same time, almost again, the two chambers of the heart. Feeling the pain, taking courageous steps. How can you get involved and help? How can you be an agent of hope, courage, and strength? So we're going to continue with this response to anti-Semitism next time, but this was just a few words of hope.